First off, we have Jose Avalos, who is the VP of IoT Group and General Manager of Retail, Banking, Hospitality, and Education Vertical Markets at Intel. Hi, Jose. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Rachel. Thank you so much for having me. It's certainly an honor and a pleasure to be able to talk to your ecosystem and your customers today.
Yeah, Jose, we're really excited to have you here today with us to share your knowledge as well. Because I know you've been in the industry for a long time, being with Intel for more than 30 years and now leading its IoT wing. Before we start, can you tell us more about yourself and your background at Intel?
Yeah, I did have the privilege of founding the digital signage business for Intel and also the visual solutions business for Intel. We did that about 12 years ago, and the business is significant now. We created a number of product categories for Intel, from digital signage to interactive kiosks to interactive panel displays to edge compute, just to mention a few, and a bunch of different form factors for hardware and software enablement. So yes, so I've been in the industry for a little bit of time.
So Jose, being such an industry expert, I know you've been participating in the tech realm for a long time now. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the key trends that you saw prior to COVID?
Yeah, and probably the most important trend pre-COVID in the Internet of Things industry is that for the last 10 to 15 years, as an industry, we focus on making devices connected and intelligent. And one of the things that really help us with that is that the cost of sensors, compute, and bandwidth dropped significantly in the last 50 years. We did a study 4 years ago where we looked at the cost of sensors, compute, and bandwidth the previous 10 years. And what we learned was that the cost of sensors had dropped in half, and the cost of compute and bandwidth had dropped about 50 times. Now, what that means, the implication is that solutions that would have cost us hundreds of millions of dollars or millions of dollars, today we can manufacture for just a few $100s or a few $1,000s. So that created an opportunity in a lot of different industries. But the biggest trend that I see today is that in addition to these devices becoming connected and intelligent, they're also starting to become autonomous. So, there's a number of new technologies that are playing a key role in that. We've seen the advent of computer vision, increased compute, 5G, analytics engine, and artificial intelligence engine. When you take these technologies and you integrate them into a solution, you give that solution the capability to start making decisions. And as devices start making decisions, they can also learn from those decisions and make better decisions over time. So that's one of the key trends, that devices not only are becoming connected and intelligent, but they're also becoming autonomous, right? And everybody talks about autonomous cars. But in the future, we're going to have autonomous retail, autonomous healthcare, autonomous manufacturing. There's going to be a lot of devices that are autonomous. And there's a second trend that I want to talk to you about, and this is more of a consumer trend. One of the things that the analysts tell us is that consumers today are focusing on two key behaviors. One is that they really like experiences that are very convenient. And this is what I call productivity mode. So this is when a consumer wants to buy milk and eggs, and they come into the store and they want to get the milk and eggs, and they want to have a frictionless payment solution and walk out of the store very quickly, right? And then there's another mode where now the consumer says, well, it's the weekend, I want to go to the mall, I want to search for some new products, I want to investigate new products, I want to play with those products. So the consumers are looking for a more immersive, a richer, a fun experience. And the implication of that is that analysts are telling us that the retailers that do one or the other, that focus on convenience or focus on experiences, are doing fairly well. And then the ones that focus on trying to do both are having a difficult time. So those were the two key trends that really we identified pre-COVID.
Right. And then once COVID hits, we see businesses impacted, individuals impacted as well. The cities going on lockdown, public health became people's utmost priority. So, Jose, taking into account these changes, do you see the aforementioned key trends change in the industry as well?
Well, those key trends are still there, right? We still see devices becoming autonomous. We still see consumers wanting experiences that are sometimes productive and sometimes immersive. But there are some new trends that have developed. Like, for example, one of them is the rise of the digital consumer. I
Mm.
mean, today I order most of my needs through digital channels. I order
Yeah.
my food through digital channels. All my entertainment comes through digital channels. Uh, my necessities around the house are delivered, to my home. So to some extent, the big trend is that consumers have adopted and embraced digital transformation. And now the consumer, from a digital transformation perspective, it's even in front of some enterprises because pre-COVID, some of the enterprises really invested in digital transformation, and that has really paid off for them. But there are some of the companies that kind of did it halfway, and some of them never did it. And today, because the consumer has become digital, these companies no longer have a choice. They
Mm.
must embrace digital transformation. The other trend that we see is that consumers are looking for frictionless solutions, right? They're looking for interactive kiosks where they can interact with the kiosk or the vending machine with their cell phones. They're looking for robotics that can deliver product or provide services, right? So,
Yeah.
for example, we're seeing a lot of robots that are focused on antibacterial solutions, right? Especially in education and also in healthcare, right? Some of these robots have integrated ultraviolet light, and that light can disinfect and kill bacteria, right? So, for example, if unfortunately somebody passes away in a hospital because of COVID, now the robot can come in and with ultraviolet light disinfect the entire room, and then the hospital personnel can come in and clean the room, and that reduces the risk of infection for the hospital personnel. We
Right.
also see this type of technology deployed in transportation, for example, in New York City to disinfect the trains.
Mm.
Um, we're starting to see autonomous stores or frictionless stores that are being deployed by some of our customers in China, in the US, and in Europe, right? And then there's a third trend, and that third trend is really that compute is moving to where data is, right? So today, a lot of the data is being generated at the edge by computers, by end customers, by also by consumers, and we're seeing a need to analyze the data at real time. Sometimes because of security reasons, sometimes because of latency. So the compute is moving to where the data is, and that's creating a very big opportunity for edge compute across many different industries. So those are some of the trends that we're seeing: the rise of the digital consumer, data compute moving to where the data is, and then consumers looking for frictionless experiences.
Yeah, Jose, that is a great point. So the consumer now leads the path of digitalization and IoT transformation for businesses.
To a large extent, yes, because the consumer has embraced digital transformation.
Yeah.
So if you're an enterprise that has not invested in digital transformation, you're really going to suffer because you're not going to be able to meet the necessities, the needs of the expectations of the consumer, right? As I mentioned, most of my needs are met through digital channels today, and there's very little friction.
Yeah.
When I want food, it gets delivered to my home. All my entertainment, I order through different services, on my television. So yeah, so those are my expectations. I
Yeah.
want to live in a frictionless world where I don't have to spend a lot of times looking for a product that maybe doesn't provide an experience for me. It's more of a need, right? Now there are times when I do want to have an experience and I do want to go on vacation and I want to enjoy the beach and I want to drink a fruity drink, but most of the time I just need to get the product and get it in a relatively easy way.
Yeah, Jose, that is exactly our driving force behind MLCX as well, because we're passionate in equipping businesses and individuals to grow through digital transformation. And it's been a great pleasure for us to partner with Intel on that aspect. On that note, can you tell us about what Intel is doing to drive modern architecture?
Yeah, we're making a significant investment to utilize some of the technologies that previously have only been used in the cloud. And as compute moves to where the data is, as compute moves to the edge, utilizing those technologies at the edge. So we're making significant investment on all the technologies that we talked about, right? And increased compute, increased bandwidth, networking, more efficient memory, analytics engines, computer vision for artificial intelligence. So yeah, so Intel is making a really big investment in this area. And you spoke about the objectives of MLCX. So we have been working with MLCX for a long time. We've been working with MLCX for the last 3 years or so. And as you know, Rachel, MLCX has been in our trade show booth at NRF the last 2 years. So we have an extensive relationship. And what we have found is that MLCX is a company that has significant technical capabilities, and they've been able to be early adopters of a lot of our technology, and not just on the compute, networking, and memory, but also in computer vision. MLCX was one of the first companies to utilize our Movidius silicon technology for computer vision acceleration. They were also one of the first companies to utilize our open source Intel Open Bino software to accelerate computer vision and inference at the edge type of applications. So MLCX is using all these ingredients that Intel has created, from compute to memory to analytics to computer vision silicon, computer vision software, to create this devices, these applications that are autonomous, as I mentioned, right? They can make decisions, they can automate manual tasks, and they can learn from their decisions over time and make better decisions over time.
Jose, earlier you mentioned that one of the autonomous technologies being introduced recently is robots doing antibacterial cleaning. Can you tell us more about other edge technologies that are used today to fight COVID?
Oh, there is a number of edge technologies. I mean, the robots have played a really big role. I talked about the application in hospitals. Those robots were used in Wuhan, China, and in many cases, they were able to deliver as much as 96% of the supplies, delivering the supplies to the different rooms, and this cut down on the risk of infection. They also are used for disinfecting rooms, and again, that also cuts down for the risk of infection. But there's also been applications with telehealth. For example, we have one of our customers that use a telehealth solution in Texas, where a doctor is not now able to stay in touch with 1,000 customers online in a very efficient way. So we're seeing telehealth. We're also using an explosion. We're seeing an explosion of kiosks everywhere for a lot of different uses. In Taiwan, we saw kiosks that were utilized to dispense face masks. So if you were going, for example, to the train station and you forgot your face mask, you can go to the kiosk, use your ID, and get free masks that you can utilize for your journey on the train, right? Here in the airport in Phoenix, there's kiosks where when you come into the airport, if you want to buy antibacterial cream or you want to buy additional masks, or some sort of shield protection for your eyes, you can buy them on the vending machine. So we're seeing a lot of vending machines. We're seeing a lot of robots. We're seeing telehealth applications. There's a lot of different opportunities for companies to utilize IoT technology to really fight COVID.
Yeah, it's all very exciting solutions, Jose. Do you see them being used as well, even beyond the pandemic?
Yeah, of course. I mean, even beyond the pandemic, during recovery, I think people are going to be more careful about monitoring. So we're going to see the utilization of analytics for monitoring behavior, and do it in a way that protects privacy for the consumer, right? And where you're monitoring behavior to make sure that we don't get into a similar situation to the one we're in today. So yeah, I expect that those technologies will continue to be used. Before the pandemic, we had already seen an explosion of kiosks and intelligent digital signage and edge compute, right? We're seeing lots of edge compute being deployed for education and banking, for example, right? Edge compute today is driving digital transformation in banks and is driving digital transformation in classrooms,
Yeah.
making it more effective and more efficient for students to learn and for teachers to teach. So yeah, all of that is going to continue. I think there's an incredible opportunity for the Internet of Things to help fight COVID, to help with the recovery post COVID, and then to continue to drive business development post COVID.
Jose, can I just ask you, where does Intel see partnerships lie? Because I know Intel's internal team itself is very big, if I'm not mistaken, 110,000 employees globally. I read somewhere. Where does partnerships lie in this extensive Intel ecosystem?
Well, Rachel, at Intel, we have a saying that says that we say that we know the future because we're building it. But the truth is that we cannot build this future by ourselves. We have to build it with our partners like MLCX and with our customers. So we develop building block technologies, and in some cases we create recipes with our customers like MLCX, and then we rely on companies like MLCX that can deliver a complete solution or can deliver a software stack where the end customer just has to focus on the application, right? They don't have to focus on all the piping.
Yeah.
So for that reason, we really value our relationship with our partners. We think that foundationally, customer obsession is based on productive relationships. So we value our relationships. We really value our ecosystem. We scale through system integrators and ISVs. And then we also work with the end customer to understand the needs of the end customer and drive digital transformation by solving the challenges that they have and the challenges that the consumer have. Because at the end of the day, as you said, one of the joint goals that we have is that we want to improve the lives of consumers. We want to make their lives better. And the only way to do it, the only way to invent this future that benefits everybody, that benefits everyone in the value chain, from the technology provider, building block provider like us, to the scaling partners, system integrators and ISV, to the end customer, and then creating value for the consumer. The only way that we can do it is working together. So
Yeah.
yes, we really value our relationship, and we value the relationship with MLCX. And I thank you, Rachel, for having me here and for giving me the opportunity to speak with your ecosystem and with your customers about our collaboration and about some of the exciting technologies that we have and future technologies that we're developing.
No, thank you so much, Jose, for being here. We really appreciate you taking some time off your busy day to lend your knowledge. And I'll speak on behalf of the team, but I'm sure all of them would agree. It's been such an amazing journey with Intel, and Intel has been such an invaluable partner. We really appreciate Intel's continuous support in businesses like ours who are working to put AI into action.